Hi, we're going to learn how to measure today, and first thing I want to do before we do anything is wash my hands. You know, I'm a stickler on clean hands and hand washing because I'm going to be handling some food and I don't want to contaminate it just like I don't want you to. And remember to use a paper towel instead of your hand towels or your dish towels to dry your hands off. Now, when you measure liquids, I have some milk here, so hopefully you can see the liquid measure. I want you to always use a liquid measuring cup. That's the only way you can get an accurate measure on that. Say you need a 1/4 cup of milk. You can never get this level the way you need to get it level with a dry measuring cup. So what you need to do, I'm going to measure out a 1/4 cup of milk. Move this out of the way a little bit. You need to pour it out and get down at eye level to make sure where it is. Because looking down there, you can't really see if it's a 1/4 cup. So you get down to eye level and there it is, 1/4 cup. So this is one kind of liquid measuring cup. This one is another one. And this, I'm going to pour another 1/4 cup in this one. And this is set so that you can see a 1/4 cup from standing up looking down on it. You don't have to get down to eye level. But this is a special kind. So I'll just pour 1/4 cup there. And I'm a little over, so pour a little bit back. And you know, if you hold it up in the air, it's going to move around and you can't see exactly where it is because that level isn't staying still. That's why it has to be set down on the counter so that you can see it stops moving, and you just let it stop wiggling around so you can see it. So this is 1 cup, this is a 2 cup, this is a 1 cup, this is a 2 cup. So whatever you need, like if you need 1.5 cups, you would use a 2 cup. If you only need 1 cup or less, you would use the 1 cup measure. So liquid measuring cup. And we would use this for water, we'd use it for milk, we'd use it for oil, corn syrup, molasses. Anything that pours, it goes in these liquid measuring cups. Put this out of the way. Now, if we're going to measure liquid, say we need a 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. I have a dish so that it can go in there. What you need to do is use your 1/2 teaspoon and you pour just till it's level. And there's a thing called surface tension, and you can keep adding to it and pretty soon, oops, it'll go over the edge, just like that. So that's a half teaspoon. There isn't a liquid measuring cup that's any smaller than what I showed you. So this would be your 1/2 teaspoon. And you use teaspoons, the measuring for liquids and dry for these. And if you need, say you need a teaspoon of nutmeg. This is a spice. They all have little openings. And I can't get that one in there. I'm going to go over and get a different measuring spoon. So you would know that you can't use a teaspoon in there. You'd have to get something different. You know, the teaspoon won't fit in there. But you put it inside. You fill it to overflowing, and then on the way out, you scrape it against the side. And then that's how you get a level 1/2 teaspoon. Okay, so that's how you measure these small dry the spices and liquids. And when it comes to something like flour, this is called the dip, pour, or dip, level, and pour. You're gonna, and I measure right over the flour container, and I have a 2/3 cup right here. So I'm going to put flour in here. I don't pack it down, I just lightly put it in there. And you fill it to overflowing. And then you take your straight edge spatula and you cut across the top. And I'm not pressing down, I'm not packing it. I'm cutting across the top so that I get most of it off, and then I scoop it. So it's nice and level. Now if I took, that's very level, I'm going to go get a knife from my drawer. This is not straight edge. One side is curved, so I could go in and I don't know if you can see, I'm getting more flour off. So it means it's cutting down in, and that can be enough to affect a recipe. And this side is also, it's not level. So these don't work. The only way they would work is if you laid them completely flat across the top. I have had trouble finding these in the store, and I don't know where they're at anymore. So I think 3 of the kitchens have them and 1 doesn't. So you kind of have to share on that one. But that's how you measure flour. And we do the same thing with sugar. I happen to have a 1/4 cup measure here. Fill it to overflowing. Take your straight edge spatula, cut across the top a couple times, and then you level. And that's a very level measure of sugar. And that's an easy way to measure, really not a very messy way either. If you're going to measure, like I said, oatmeal's a little different because there's bigger particles and some of them get caught. So you want to make sure it's nice and level. Now this is, you can use for dry, you can use for other kinds of solids, and it's pretty cool for something like peanut butter. And I have this set for 1/4 cup. It's right there, the 1/4 cup. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some peanut butter, and I'm going to take my rubber scraper, and whenever you measure something like this, you have to push it into the edges, because you don't want to, you want to get all the air bubbles worked out of it. And we're going to fill this up. It's kind of neat because you can see through this plastic to see if you have any air bubbles. We'll fill it to the top, make sure it's nice, fill it overflowing. Then you can take your straight edge spatula. You can do this with Crisco, with butter, any solid shortening, same way. And I have a little air spot there, so I want to redo it. There. Nice and straight, even. I'll put the rest back in there. And then, the cool part about this is to get it out, you push it up. And if you had a bowl, you just take your rubber scraper. Empty this here. Stuff on it. But you take this and you push it off right into your bowl. Now I'll put it back in the peanut butter jar. So that's a really neat way to measure. And these, you can find these different places. Now, this works the same way for a regular cup, measuring cup, except you can't see if you have air bubbles. But you take and you push down and make sure you get all the air bubbles worked out. You don't want any air pockets. And again, I fill it pretty full. And then I take my straight edge spatula, scrape the extra off, like that. And then, then you're going to have to scoop it around the outside edge to get all of the peanut butter out, and then scoop it again to get the rest of it out, because you don't want to leave any of it. So that's how you would measure like a solid shortening or peanut butter, something like that. Those are a couple different nifty ways to do that. And then last but not least is brown sugar. And most recipes for brown sugar call for it to be packed. So this is one where you would dip your measuring cup in, fill it to overflowing, and you're going to have to take your hand. That's why I wanted to make sure your hands are washed. You pack that in. And I need to clean this off because I don't want to mix the food there. But brown sugar has quite a bit of moisture in it, and when it's fresh, it clings to each other, it packs, and if it's dry, it won't pack. So then you're going to have to cut it off the top, just like that. And if you've done it right, then it would pour out and it would retain its shape, because it's you've packed it in there really nice and solidly. And that's the one that you're going to pack, the one flour. Now, most of our recipes do not call for sifting, so you don't have to worry about a flour sifter or anything like that. So these are just some very, very basic ways of measuring, and it's really important, really critical in a lot of recipes that you do have the correct measurements. So these are steps that you will be using in every single recipe that you do.